Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this video. Happy Tuesday. Today we're going to learn about the criteria of a Shakespearean comedy and identify examples in the play. So all that you're going to need for today's lesson is the Tuesday, April 28, 2020 criteria for Shakespearean comedy Google Forms. And if you are watching this video, you are in the right spot. And you may also follow along in the reading packet for April 27 through May 1. So before we jump into identifying examples of Shakespearean comedy in the play, we need to take a few notes on what the criteria for Shakespearean comedy is. So grab a sheet of paper and take notes as you watch the video. So the first criteria, a greater emphasis on situations than characters. This is going to numb the audience connection to the characters so that when the characters experience any type of misfortune, the audience finds it laughable. So instead of us creating like a connection to the characters, we're more focused on the action that is happening in the play, so it doesn't really focus on the development of the characters in the text. The second criteria is a struggle of young lovers to overcome difficulty. So we know that Hermia and Lysander are not allowed to get married because Hermia's father wants her to marry Demetrius. So these two lovers having to run away to get married is them struggling to overcome their difficulty. Also, a separation of a couple may occur in a Shakespearean comedy. We'll have a pastoral or natural-like setting. As you see, they are in the woods, so it's a very natural setting, and this is a very normal element in Shakespearean comedy. Also, deception among characters. So this would be like mistaking a character for another character. So mistaken identity is something that is very normal in Shakespearean comedy. And then a clever servant. And we can see that this is Puck here in the Shakespearean comedy, which is very similar to Hop Frog, if you guys remember our reading from earlier in the year when we read Hop Frog and about the dwarf who was a servant to the king, and he ended up basically murdering the king's court because he was very clever, a very clever servant. Also disputes between characters and often within a family. So we know that Hermia is disputing with her father Aegeus because she doesn't want to marry Demetrius, whom he wants her to marry. And so we see that dispute within the family and within those characters. Then also there are going to be multiple intertwining plots. So you have Theseus and Hippolyta, you have Oberon and Titania, and then so many different characters, and the plot all comes together. And so this reminds me of Marvel, how there's so many different characters within the universe, yet there are so many movies where a lot of these single plots intertwine with a greater plot. And so just to recap all the criteria for Shakespearean comedy, there's a greater emphasis on situations and characters, a struggle of young lovers to overcome difficulty, a separation of a couple, a pastoral-like natural setting, deception among characters, clever servant, dispute between characters, often within a family, and multiple intertwining plots and subplots. So now that we've taken some notes on the criteria for a Shakespearean comedy, we're going to identify examples of this on page 59 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So as you end this video and you move on to the next section of this Google Forms, you're going to independently read page 59 of A Midsummer Night's Dream and identify 2 quotes that meet the criteria of a Shakespearean comedy.